All right, here we go. Peter Alonso. Rumored teams: Mets, Mariners, Giants. For me, I just don't see him going anywhere other than the Mets. I think the Mets do find a way to bring him back. Um, the market is, I and it's weird with him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the market is for him at this point. I don't know.
It,
I just have a gut feeling it's the Mets.
I heard a great synopsis from I can't remember where I read it yesterday. I'll see if I can find the article. But it was a front office person who made a comment, who had a quote in one of the articles, and basically said the issue with Alonso is not, heart and desire, it is age and swing. And
Yeah,
he's 30 and he's likely had his best seasons, and you're buying a declining Pete Alonso. And he wants to get paid like the Pete Alonso of a couple years ago, and the market's saying, well, you're not that guy anymore. And you don't play, you're not a good defender, you can't run. So literally, we're buying a declining bat, and we're
right.
not going to pay for the declining bat like you want us to pay for it. And I agree. I think Pete Alonso is going to have to basically swallow his pride and take a lesser deal. I think the only place that makes sense would be the Mets, because he could call it a hometown discount. But I would not be shocked if the Giants come in and make him a better offer, because they need some power. They need to
Yeah,
make a splash. And
yeah.
Adamas is good.
Yeah. I, I I think you're starting to see like baseball contracts were based on what a player did, right? Like contracts were always the result of your production, like of your first 6 years, right? You always saw like, oh, this guy was a 30 and 100 guy for the first 6 seasons where he's going to get top of the line contract. Now you're starting to see him shift a little bit and be like, okay, we are starting to look towards the future more. I mean, minus the Xander Bogarts contract.
Which is terrible.
Terrible. But teams are starting to think ahead. Like, oh, is this contract going to be worth it in 5 or 6 years? I think I see that thinking kind of switch. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you have. I think when you look across the landscape of baseball, I think there was a time when you would pay huge money to a guy who was one dimensional. And I think you're in a time now where you look at a guy like Pete Alonso, and it's like the bat is good, declining, the defense is not good, um, and teams are getting smarter at making a big commitment to somebody who's not going to be there in the end.
Right.
With a more athletic player like a Bogarts, like a Seager, like those kind of guys, the more athletic players, you can find somewhere to put them. When Pete Alonso can't play the field anymore, where the hell are you going to put him? Like,
Yeah.
there's no option.
Right.
And I think, if from what I'm reading the last couple of days, the Mets are already starting to explore their opportunities. They keep saying we'd love to bring him back at the right price, but we're way off. Like, we're not even close with him.
Yeah.
And Pete Alonso has yet to talk to anybody who's even close on him. And I think this is a good comment in the chat. Like, San Francisco is a big ballpark. Why would he want to go there? His family's in Florida, all of which is true. But Pete Alonso, he's not a chooser right now. He's very much a beggar.
Yeah.
He's going to have to go wherever there's an offer. San Francisco's been trying to make a splash for a while. They may throw enough money at him to make him jump. But there's no market for Pete. He's kind of a man without a market. Teams aren't going, hey, where's Pete at? Where's he going? Like, teams have moved on.
Yeah. I think with velocity up in the league today and his average on high velocity fastballs
Worse than baseball.
at the worst in baseball, that's a big concern for every major league team. I mean, listen, everybody throws triple digits now.
Yeah.
And if Pete Alonso can't hit that, like he's got no place on my team. Like I already Seattle Mariners, I already got guys that hit 230. I don't need another one.
Right.
Yes, he's going to hit you 45, 50 home runs a year, possibly. But if he keeps declining, are you going to invest that money? No, you're not. So,
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, it's hard because, Pete statistically had his best season, I think it was 23. He's typically been a negative defensive run saved guy, a very low range factor guy. Defensively, he is mediocre. He's below average. Is he going to hurt you? No, he's not going to. He's not going to hurt you. You're not going to lose games because Pete Alonso is playing first base, but he's not going to help you. When you set him up alongside, his peer group, Goldschmidt and Christian Walker, like those guys are so much better than him defensively. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. But Pete's got the slightly better bat. But you look at what those guys signed for. I mean, 20 million and 15 million or 12 million. Pete's looking for 20 mid to high 20s. Those guys in the same spot as him were getting significantly less than that. Like he's off pace with market.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's got no market right now. So I think he's going to have to settle. And I think it makes the most sense for him to settle with the New York Mets, or at least go home. But I wouldn't rule out the Giants being a little bit more aggressive to get him, knowing that they're not going to pay full price for him.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of like the Aaron Judge syndrome here too. Chases that slider off the outside part of the plate. For like as great of a hitter as Aaron Judge is, he chases that slider quite a bit. And listen, I'm not going to say that it's easy to hit a slider, but they both tend to chase that down and away slider a lot. But for me, it's his batting average against the high velocity fastballs. It's that teams are like, no, thanks. So
I mean, you can beat Pete with a good fastball, and the problem is he also chases stuff on top of that, so that hurts. I mean, 2023 is probably his best season in terms of just like pure stats, lowest batting average, but best power season. 2022 might have been his best overall season. Last year was a pretty big step back. It's hard to tell what you're going to get.
Yeah,
and teams aren't willing to bank on it.
No, as they shouldn't, for sure. But